candidate for this coming election?
But as I say, medical chair with TF4 and a Ghana for an Omania Bresse on BTMA. No matter any papa did to quem na sign a year my you me. Ye cast Dr. Sam Ankrah me Ghana ni mapa.
Okay.
Yeah, Kumasi.
Okay.
Me could school Pokwari school.
Wow.
Me Katachi.
Yeah.
I was a school professor so.
Oh wow.
And to me Pokwari 1 to 6 form and I medical England to study my first degree, masters and further on. Now I graduated into investment banking as a fund manager.
Wow.
And left to set up our own investment bank in the city of London with a group of young, smart people. Now the organization grew to the point that I was in charge of emerging markets, which includes the South Americas,
okay,
in the Far East, India, Asia, China, the East, and then Africa. Now within that period, there wasn't a single finance minister or president, including our country, face-to-face discussion to discuss policy, programs, measures that would transform these economies.
Okay.
This was what I did as an investment banker. Through the process, I furthered my education to read a PhD in finance and then developed into become a development economist. Now, as you know, essentially, development economist is also helping the marginalized to uplift their social standard of living.
Sure.
And also, I'm up to now consulting for various government bodies, writing policies, criticizing policies, assessing main things that can help transform our economies. Now, in the process, I have seen firsthand how certain countries from nowhere with little or no resources, but just the mere fact say they understood the concept of how to develop the country, bringing the right brains on the table, how they move from where they were to where they are now. I mean, a lot of people, you come Malaysia, you come Singapore, you come even Thailand, and many of these countries who virtually had nothing, but just the mere fact say they had transformative leaders, they had people who had vision, they are able to organize themselves and move from a third world to a developed world.
Okay.
The African challenge has been the same. Despite the numerous resources we have, the vast human capital, all this that we have, our story hasn't changed. Why is it that these guys have developed and progressed and Africa hasn't? Is it because they have different skin colors? These are critical things I believe that Africans and young people like you should ask.
Okay.
Greg Mills wrote a book. Say Africa is poor, not because of aid or colonization or slave trade. Africa is poor, it's because of our leaders. We as people have not been choosing the right caliber of people to lead. Our politics have become a popularity contest who shouts loud on a platform without looking into background to see requisite skills and expertise that needs to run a nation. The reason why the likes of Coca-Cola, Samsung, Apple, and even your net too, you go out there and recruit the best brains and pay them high sums of money to put the organizations together is because you believe in skills and expertise.
Yeah.
How do we then think that in politics you can just recruit anybody and the country will transform? These are again critical questions I'm challenging our young people. Our politics should not be the status quo as usual.
Okay.
Let's start thinking. If indeed we are looking for politics to transform our living standards or change our circumstances, then we've got to be very careful how we choose our leaders. These and many myriads of issues, Ankrah, and I say this election, we have to do a different campaign. We need to let our people understand, say, nothing happens by magic. Everything that happens and works has a plan behind. And it starts from appointing leaders that can transform our country.
So when did you realize all this? Because looking at your background, senior okano, we opokuare, kotna, England kusuya diwi, you know, and brebe na odi when you share who say Ghana, we have all the natural resources, but all these challenges are fair now when you teach up as a contest as independent presidential candidate.
It's been for a while, like I said, just after sitting in classrooms with people and realizing, saying Kofi cry, and yeah, we are much ahead of them.
Okay.
And looking at what they have built, one will start thinking, say, Nadine, what do they have special that had been able to develop their nations? And I associate will be an intimate. From then, you start asking questions, and you realize, say, it's all gems are from the way we do things or how our organizations are structured. And it's been for a while. Then, like I said, when I became investment banking, again, I was in charge of emerging markets. I've traveled the length and breadth of the continent. I've been speaking to finance ministers, presidents, and I tend to realize, say, look, the right decisions have not been taken. Our politics is self-centered. It's more of a cabal that invests money to win elections, and then when they win the elections, they share the booty among themselves, the spoil, at the expense of the whole nation. Into the decisions that would transform economies, decisions that would take time to mature are not looked at because our countries have become more of deal making instead of country building, nation building. And see, the realization here has been for a while. Like I said, I've advised government on policy, I've been writing articles and criticizing certain things, and obviously nothing has happened. Okay. And to do all this for the period, I mean, to say, because you don't have the political power to push. That is what prompted me to be able to get on the ballot. And this time, if I get a mandate, then I believe we'll be able to do different things instead of standing outside and throwing stones. Into the vision or the idea of coming to help my nation or my country has been for a very long while, and I've been around supporting in my own way before I decided to contest for the presidency.
Okay. A friend, Dr. Sam Ankrah, or independent presidential candidate, on any needing komo and pay. Now, you say you can join the conversation on YouTube, Net2 TV, GH, Nefa Wajin Chefao. Now,